It is my distinct honor and privilege to present the Allegheny Conference on Community Development 2011 ATHENA Award to MJ Tocci.
I'm having a Sally Fields moment. I want to tell you how humbling it is to be at this table with these amazing women. If one of the consequences of winning this award is that these women are now a part of my life in a significant way, I will feel tremendously privileged. Everyone should have Rebecca Harris and Roz Wilkinson in their lives. They made me look very good on paper, and I'm very grateful for their nomination. I'd like to introduce you to my family. My cousin Tom is here. Can you all just stand up for a minute? My brother Tim, my husband Jonathan, my son Sam, and my daughter Zoe. When Sam was 5, one of my colleagues in the DA's office asked him if he wanted to be a lawyer when he grew up. And he scrunched up his face and said, "Oh no, girls are lawyers." And Zoe has embraced the women asking for what they want with such rapidity that my head is spinning, and I know we're going to both get through her adolescence. If I had a message to everyone, it would be to embrace a very interesting word that can be both powerful and power-sapping, and that's the word no. And I have to thank Mrs. Gardner, my high school guidance counselor, for really teaching me the importance of the word no. When I said to her, "Mrs. Gardner, I'm thinking I might want to be a lawyer." And Mrs. Gardner said to me, "No, no, no. You would be much happier and better suited to be a legal secretary." This is a true story. 3 no's it took. So when I looked at Mrs. Gardner, I figured out one thing really quickly, and that was that Mrs. Gardner was really pretty useless to me for professional advice. And I never spoke to her again, and And I probably would handle that situation differently today. But it wasn't because I was so smart at 17 or 18 that I had that thought. It was because I was surrounded by a world of people who kept telling me I could do anything I wanted to do. My parents, my family, my aunts and uncles, my cousins, all those people just do what you want to do. And it was because I had that Mrs. Gardner's no had very little impact, because think what it could have done. It could have made me feel less than. It could have made me feel like I was aspiring to something I couldn't legitimately reach. It could have diminished me in some way. So I say to you, when you hear the word no, in the words of my dear friend and colleague Linda Babcock, think of no as merely a position from which to negotiate. That sometimes our greatest moments are when someone tells us no, and we say, "Okay, how else am I going to get this?" Right? That no is when we just have to rise up and do it better, do it differently, maybe work a little harder, maybe do some more things to get there. But as Linda also says, If no one is saying no to you, you're probably not asking for enough. Now I want to look at the flip side of the word no. And that is what you do all the times that people ask you to do things for them. Now, we're all here because we care a lot about people and we care a lot about each other, and we all care deeply about the success of women. But isn't it interesting how often we're all asked to do things, and do we make smart decisions about what we do and what we don't do? I'm working with a very brilliant group of women at Carnegie Mellon and at Pitt, and we're looking at that idea of what do we say no to, and why do we say yes to all the things that we say yes to? And are we saying yes to the things we should be saying yes to? Or are we saying yes because it's expected of us? We think we need it to be likable. We think we need it because people will, think of us as community-spirited people. All the reasons why we say yes, because it'll give us a diva moment. And it's interesting that often women think about whether they can do something before they think about whether they should do something. I have a picture at my computer of both of my kids, and I put them there because every time I say yes to something, I have to look them in the eye. Because sometimes it's our families that suffer most. We can say no to them the easiest because they'll always love us, and they'll take us back even when we come in too late and when we've been working on stuff that has to do with other people. And so I have to look both my kids in the eye when I say yes to anything. And the epiphany for me was, we have to know what are the things we truly care about and the places where we can make our contribution. And if we say yes to too many things, those things get diminished. And then we don't get to reach our goals about the things we could really make an impact. So I say, when you hear no, figure out how to get there, and use no. And realize that there are sometimes other people that can do all the things that they're asking us to do, because we want to be able to concentrate on the things that we most care about and the places where we can make our greatest impact. One of the things that was sold to my generation of women was that we could do it all, and we can do it all, but not at the same time, right? So figure out where you're going to make your impact and carve out space for that, which will occasionally mean saying, no, thank you. I'm so glad you asked. I'm honored that you asked me, but I can't. And that will, give us a path that will make us all not so crazy. I was once talking to a young woman who was working with me on a gender project, and I said to her, I have another project when you're done. She was working on her PhD at the time. I have another project when we're done with this, if you're interested. And she said, no, I can't. I've got something else to do. And I said, Melissa, I'm really irritated at you that at your age, you have learned to say no. And I haven't even learned it yet. And she said, MJ, that's because I have a mother like you. So thank you very much for this award. I am touched beyond words.